Hello and welcome to Hello Governor, the podcast. As always, I am Abdullah, and with me today is returning guest Katy Townsend. How you doing, Katy?
Hello, I'm doing really well. Thank you so much. How are you doing?
Well, you know how I'm doing after the conversation we had before this that took like 30 something minutes.
That was just tongue in cheek. Tough times out there, absolutely. Um, but yeah, I'm so happy to be back on the show. Love the show.
And it finally took me 4 years, but I finally pronounced your first name properly. So there you go. 4 year
You know
build
what?
up.
I feel like I'm constantly pronouncing yours. See, I'm saying Abdullah, but I think it's pronounce it again the way you would pronounce it.
Abdullah.
Abdullah. Abdullah?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Just a minor adjustment. I didn't realize you weren't pronouncing my name properly either. I love that we mispronounced each other's names. That's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I don't know why. Because the way it's spelled, I just want to say Kathy. I don't know why. Like I don't
A
know
lot
why.
a lot of people call me Kathy. I've stopped arguing with people when they don't know how to pronounce my name. When people are like Kathy, I just say, yeah, sure. In America, when I say I'm Katie, because we hit the T in Scotland, often they'll come back and say Casey. And then I just nowadays I don't correct them. I just say, yeah, I'm Casey. Sure.
Casey Townsend. There you go.
Katie, even that was you pronounced that wrong. Townsend. Townsend.
Oh.
Don't even worry about it. Do not even worry about it. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce your last name because I know I'm going to butcher it and it looks very fancy. And I can't bring myself to do that to you. Or
Because
my
again,
or
I want to say Townsend because of Townsend Coldman, and so that just gets confusing. I'm sorry. That's how my
it is, it's
brain
Townsend.
works.
It's Townsend. That's right. It's however you want to pronounce it.
So yeah, we were supposed to do this originally like late last year, but then the holidays happened and life happened and we had to keep
Yes.
pushing this back, and now everything's on fire and David Lynch is dead and I'm just like I don't even know what's going on
I
anymore.
know. I know we're having this conversation during absolute chaos. I think we were meant to chat last year and then I traveled to Scotland and then I got ill in Scotland and then I literally flew into the fires because I flew in last week and as the plane was descending into LAX, all you saw out of one side of the plane was like thick smoke and just it looked like the clouds were ablaze and everyone in the plane was panicking. We thought the plane was on fire only to realize that these wildfires had started beneath us. And so I basically then flew into the um, an inferno that was LA and had to evacuate within a couple of days. Had to evacuate my area for a night because the fire got a bit too close for comfort. So it's been a bit of a weird one, to be honest. There's a very strange atmosphere in the city in LA just now, as you can imagine. And yeah, very strange. And so this is actually a welcome escape to chat to you. And so I'm very glad to be here again and just able to forget what's going on outside the walls of my apartment for a moment. So thanks for having me.
I just wanted to ask, like looking at the way the world is now, do you regret taking that leap of faith and going to pursue acting in the States?
Oh my God, that is such a massive question. Oh, I don't regret it actually because I don't know. I don't regret it because it's all I know, right? But I'm not sure what the alternative would have been because, I try and get home to Scotland to visit when I can. And whenever I'm home and, walking around the city centre, the streets that I know really well, um, I find myself wondering what I would be doing, if I was still living in Scotland. I was acting there, I was doing theatre, but there's not really enough work in theatre to go around there. I've got friends who are actors there that are struggling. Wasn't never really qualified to do much else. One of my best friends is, or my oldest best friend is a solicitor. She works in the city, but I could never have been a solicitor. I never really wanted to pursue, I never really had the interest of like getting married and still not sure if I want children, all these things that, a lot of my friends there are settled, married with kids and a career. And so to be honest, I can't envision what an alternative reality for my life would be. I don't know what my life would look like back there. And so, but certainly over the years, I've had moments of like, why did I do this? Um, and certainly as I was descending into LAX with the sort of ground beneath us ablaze, I was like, maybe I've made maybe this was the wrong decision to come back to LA this early because I flew back to do a convention, a gaming convention in downtown LA. And had a great time at the convention, but it was definitely surreal with everything going on outside. But that's a great question, and I don't know. I try not to have regrets. Um, but yeah, I just don't know what an alternative life would have looked like if I'd stayed in Scotland. So this is all I know. And, it's been a journey to say the least, with plenty of ups and downs. But I don't know that I regret it. I'm glad I'm here. Um, yeah, I guess.
I mean, I'm glad you're here also because you're one of my favorite. You're probably one of my favorite, probably one of my favorite guests ever I've had on this show because you're just so honest and upfront about who you are, and I like that a lot.
Thank you so much for saying that. I feel the same about you. Like, I think I said this, off the record before we started the conversation. You and I were just having a wee bit of a chat about life and tough times at the moment. And so I just love all of the authenticity you bring to the table. It's my favorite quality in a person, and you just embody that so well. So I feel the same about you for sure.
And look, man, I was really legit happy when you got Arcane season 2, and I just want to say you're one of the best actresses I've ever had on this show because we recorded like 2021, the previous episode. So thank you for playing the role of someone who had just booked something really massive and pretended that you didn't have anything to do with it.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, so that's so funny because so when we did our interview, I must have already known. I mean, I would have already been working on the show because I started working on the show in 2020. Um Actually, my first session was the first day of lockdown. And so yes, it was a several years long secret. And so but I think when we chatted in 2021, life still felt like a bit of a COVID wasteland. Things had still shut down. Normalcy hadn't really returned. Still big question mark over whether it's returned, whether it's ever returned. But yeah, I just remember I loved coming on your show because again, it was just a wonderful moment of escapism to have a nice, authentic, honest conversation with someone during one of the most chaotic and darkest times of our lives. So I was definitely very grateful for that.
The most chaotic and darkest time so far.
Exactly, exactly. Um, yeah, exactly. We don't know what's around the corner, but I'm not gonna lie, these wildfires in LA have definitely been a ominous start to the year. And so yeah, I'm gonna try and stay positive. Things can only get better from here, but definitely same as a lot of people, definitely a little anxious about what's to come. But I'm not going to write 2025 off yet as being a terrible year. I think there's plenty of time for it to redeem itself, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, it's crazy to me that we're in 2025 because I just realized, oh yeah, Fallout 4 is like 10 years old this year, so
Isn't
there
that
you go.
wild? I know, isn't it wild when I mean, I can't wrap my brain around that either because I remember during the pandemic doing like we did like a 5-year panel with the other Fallout 4 actors. And I was like, at the time, I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe it's been 5 years. But it's like blink and another 5 years have gone by. It's wild. And I don't know about you, but many of those years through COVID just sort of, I'm not saying they feel like they didn't count, but they were just a kind of a wash of nothingness, right? Very strange. Feel like our relationship with time, the passage of time has definitely shifted through COVID, or at least for me it has. Um, yeah, weird.
You're not alone, because I swear, like the past couple of years have felt like such a blur that I look at the episode dates I've recorded. I'm like, huh, 2022. I could have sworn I recorded that in 2021. Oh well.
I know it's sort of, I think what COVID did was it sort of blurred the lines between chapters, or it became one gigantic like 5 year COVID chapter. And so because of that, it all just mushed together. So it's hard for me to actually depict what happened. Was it 2020? Was it 21? Was it 22? Was it 23? I've got no idea. Sometimes I'll go through my photos on my iPhone, and everything on there is arranged by date, and something will come up like this was 3 years ago, and I'm like, oh my God, like it feels like I would have had no idea, right? That it was three, it seems like it could have been 5 years ago or last year. It's just all very, again, it's like there's so many blurred lines with this sort of the passage of time that it's just, um, very weird. It's been a very, very unsettling and disorientating 5 years. I still don't know what to make of it. Do you?
I just realized also, like, next year is going to be the 5 year anniversary of the Loud House movie and the 10-year anniversary of the series as a whole. That's just like, what is time? What
Like,
is
what
time?
what is time? I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing I've been really aware of during this whole, throughout the release of Arcane. It's been so fun seeing this project that I've worked on for years come into fruition and finally be out there in the world after years working on it. But I've been relishing every moment with the release of the show because I'm fully aware that I'm going to blink and it's going to be like, oh, Arcane was 5 years ago and then 10 years ago. And, it's just time just escapes us. And so I'm definitely trying to make the most of the show being fresh and, out there in the world, and very much enjoying connecting with the audience, and um, just loving how well it's been received. I've not taken any moment of it for granted, of the release for granted.
Also, can I just say how weird it is that you voiced a redheaded Scottish lady who happens to be a lesbian twice?
I know. I know. So many recurring themes. And what's so funny is that there's another small role in another game I've got coming out soon. And I saw, which I can't tell you what it is, but I saw a clip of it online, and you can hear me talking in the clip. But I didn't know, in my mind, I was like, oh, what's this character going to look like? Surely she's not going to be another redhead, but she is. She's another ginger. And so this next role I've got coming out is going to be like, I don't know, my fourth ginger my fourth ginger character, my fourth, not that I'm complaining, but it's just like, yeah, I'm definitely ready to, I, not I'm ready to depart from doing the Scottish ginger thing. I'm really loving it, but it would be so nice to have the opportunity to diversify a little bit. But at the same time, I want to lean into it because I kind of love that that's becoming my hallmark. Um, the Celtic redheaded thing. So, you know what? If that's what I end up being known for, then so be it.
I know, and I'm just glad that, and I mentioned this like last time we talked, which is I'm glad that they kept your character being Scottish because yeah, it's a cool accent.
Yeah, and you know what? Like if listen, I want to be able to bring Scottishness to as many different roles and universes as possible. Like I'm more than happy to do that. It's a real honor for me to play these roles in all these different diverse projects. So I'm definitely not complaining. It's definitely hilarious that most of these characters are redheads, but you know what? So what? It's just an honor to. I mean, I feel very excited when I hear a Scottish accent in anything. I feel very represented. So it's nice to be able to offer a bit of that as well and bring a lot of myself to the table. Very proud of my Scottish roots.
Plus, it's great to actually, have someone again. I feel like I'm, repeating myself here, but it is great to actually have someone who is Scottish play a Scottish person and not have an American do a really dodgy
Yeah.
accent.
Sure, I mean I get that, but also what I'll say is there are I mean it's hit or miss, right? Like anything else. There are some American actors that do wonderful Scottish accents. So um I don't want to knock Americans who are doing Scottish accents, but yeah, it's just nice. It's nice to be able to bring my own authentic Scottishness to a role. I'm very proud of that.
Plus, it's cool that it's just like she's just Scottish. Like there is no in-universe explanation as to why she is Scottish. She's just
I
like she's
know.
just Scottish, and it's like, well, look, man. I mean, Mel and her mother are British, so why can't Maddie be Scottish?
I know, and particularly in a universe like Arcane, I feel like anything goes, right? Like it's just with all the sort of, the potential for alternative timelines and all that stuff that exists within that universe. Why not? Why not have just Scottish and British people thrown into the mix? When I'm watching shows or playing games or whatever, I love, for me, diversity is very, very exciting in these worlds. Like I want to see different skin colors and different ethnicities and hear different accents. All of that kind of colors these universes in all kinds of dynamic ways. So it's nice to play a wee part in that.
So, what was your first reaction to seeing the character on screen for the first time?
In Arcane.
Yep.
So let me tell you, it was actually really emotional, believe it or not, because I'd been working on the project for years and it'd been this big secret. And I remember distinctly the first time that I saw it was an advanced like really advanced animatic, almost a completed, it was really close to completion. I saw that opening scene with Maddie interacting with Vi, um, the introduction to my character. And I saw that in a sort of ADR session where I was recording sort of additional efforts and dialogue. And when when it was on a big screen, and when I saw the character for the first time and I saw that interaction for the first time, I honestly had tears in my eyes because what was so surreal and out of body about the experience was, and what's kind of quite unique about my character in Arcane is the animators actually used my appearance and expressions and mannerisms and things to build the character. And so they recorded a lot of material in session and used pictures of mine to sort of create the features and bring this character to life. So I recognized it was kind of a bit eerie and surreal. I recognized so many of my sort of quirks and mannerisms in this character. And I've always really wrestled, as I'm sure this is something you and others can relate to. I've always really wrestled with um, myself. I've always really struggled with my own sense of self-worth and my own sense of belonging, and always felt like a sort of twitchy, weird troll-like outsider. And so seeing all of my quirks and essence embodied in this sort of beautiful character, with this stunning animation, it was like zooming way out and looking at myself, um, you know, in such an objective way. And I found the character and the intro to the character so lovable. And I thought, do you know what? That's me, and I am quirky, and I am twitchy, and I am kind of awkward, and I am lovable. And it was just, I don't know, I know this sounds really silly, but it was just I'd been working on the project for so long. It meant so much to me. And so I just couldn't believe I was part of something so beautiful, and I couldn't believe some version of myself existed in this alternate animated reality. And I couldn't believe that they had wanted to include so many of my strange quirks that I always felt so uncomfortable with into this character. And um, it just was astonishing to me. So, sorry for the long-winded answer, but yeah, it was kind of just this amazing moment, and I definitely had tears in my eyes watching that play out for the first time.
So there's never that moment where you were like really hypercritical of it. It was just like, hey, I don't mind listening to myself, right?
Well, and that's another thing, I typically am hypercritical when I've done on-camera stuff. I'm hypercritical of how I look, my manner. I'm always like everyone else, right? Like nobody really likes to watch themselves or listen to themselves. It's honestly the first time where I've been able to zoom right out and detach from it emotionally and just appreciate it for the masterpiece that it is. And I loved it. And I think that's what was also so moving. I was able to sort of appreciate my contribution to the project and how exceptional the project is without judgment or criticism and just enjoy it for the beautiful thing that it is. And so, yeah, it was very moving, amazing moment.
Yeah, it's a beautiful show. It is like just
Yeah.
it is a show made by animators through and through.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, it's just such a spectacle and a masterpiece, and every frame of the show is just breathtaking. And that feeling I just described of seeing my character on screen for the first time, um, that feeling carried through. That for me, that was a thread through every episode of season two. I went to a premiere down here in Hollywood, and we saw the first three episodes on the big screen, and then there was another finale event in LA, downtown LA, and we saw the final three episodes on the big screen with an audience of fans, right? Thousands of fans of the show. And the way I can't really describe how I felt in each of those screenings because it was just this incredible visceral out of body experience. It's nothing I'd ever felt before. And I just I mean for me Arcane is meant to be seen on the big screen. It's that beautiful. And so I'm so thrilled that everyone's able to watch it through their Netflix accounts. But for me, like seeing it in the cinema basically with a large audience, for me, that's how this show should be seen. And to be able to do that just, I had chills, honestly. I was just absolutely, it was like those were some of the most exhilarating moments of my life was being able to share with the audience that show on the big screen.
So, okay, here's the part where we get into spoilers. So, if you have not
Yeah.
seen the show, I don't know what to tell you. It's been a year, man.
Stop listening.
Yeah, so spoilers
Yeah.
here on out. You have been warned. So, were you aware of her character arc beforehand, or was it just something you gradually experienced as the show went on?
I was not aware when I signed up for the project and I recorded that first opening scene, I was not aware that things were going to play out the way that they did, and I was not aware that Maddie was a spy. So that was news to me. And because in my mind, Maddie was just this very sort of um, wide-eyed, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed newbie enforcer who was very lovable and very naive and was going to become an integral part of this core strike team um, in in season two and an ally to Vi and Cait. So I thought she was one of the goodies and poured so much of my essence into her and found her very adorable and was excited for the audience to sort of fall in love with her. So when I found out, I don't know how I was told. I think initially someone said, "Oh, by the way, your character might die," and I was like, "Oh no, my baby, that's so sad." Like, no, hopefully not. And then I think like a few weeks later, it was like, "Oh, and by the way, your character might be evil." I was like, no, this is, and to be honest, I was kind of devastated when I found out that the character was going to be um that there was going to be deception with the character and that she was going to turn out to not be who we originally thought she was. And it took me a while emotionally to accept it. And then I just sort of leaned into it, you know. Then I was like, do you know what? If that's who this character is, then so be it. I'm gonna give it my all, and I hope that um, the work I've done has a impact on the audience, and it did. I think the way that the arc of this character played out shocked the pants off a lot of people, and so for me that was a job well done. I was you know experiencing the reaction of the audience along the way has been both horrifying and delightful.
Like a bullet to the head, Maddie left an impression on us all.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm not sure I quite expected. I knew she'd be likable, but I think I underestimated how lovable the character was going to come across in the opening, and therefore how much the the moments in Act Two and then Act Three that follows, how much of a deep impact that would have on an audience, and the sort of amalgam of emotions and turmoil that that would stir up with the fans. And so, yeah, I mean, when I've, especially, we were sitting, we being like a lot of the cast and the creators of the show, were sitting in with the audience for the finale screening in LA. So to hear the reaction from the audience to the way, that final scene played out with my character was wild. There was a lot of screaming, a lot of shouting, a lot of anger, and then and horror, and then of course when spoiler for the audience, when that bullet ricochets back into the character, there was a lot of a really extreme reaction of cheering from the audience that I wasn't expecting, and I loved it actually. I've never experienced anything like that. It was just wild. It was a wild journey to go on with the audience.
God, I love her death. It's really creative. Like just seeing that bullet ricochet and then just hit her in the head.
I know it was really wild, and yeah, and I'd seen again animatics of that in the recording sessions, but really I didn't see the whole thing play out until I was seated in the audience watching the finale. And so I was experiencing it, kind of in real time with the audience. And so I was screaming and like recoiling in horror too, right? Like, I mean, I was sitting next to Amanda Overton, writer and producer of the show, who basically created this character, and um, we were just relishing in it all, like we were sort of screaming and cheering and crying and all that along with the audience. It was incredible. It was an incredible, incredible night. Um, that I'm sure left many traumatized, but what can you do?
I mean, to be fair, I think the fandom pretty much turned on Maddie the moment like she got with
Yeah.
Caitlyn. So,
They did. A lot of them did. And also, what was really funny for me was the outrage over that, right? Oh my God, she's the worst character ever. How could she do this? And all I could think was, if you think this is the worst thing this character is gonna do, then you're in for a big surprise. And so I kind of loved that. I just loved the way that the character arc was structured, in sort of three chapters. I loved the reveal in the second act where we realize that she's sort of infiltrated this very sacred relationship between Vi and Cait. And then I loved the reveal at the end. It was just like a surprise upon surprise, and it was just really fun. It was really fun to be part of that, to play a character that ruffled so many feathers. Oh yes.
so I'm probably you've probably been getting this question a lot, but I gotta ask it. Do you think she actually had feelings for Cait, or was it just all a ploy?
So I have been asked this question quite a bit. And so here's the truth, right? Like, I think one of the really incredible things about Arcane is how um, multidimensional all of the characters are, Maddie included. Yes, she was a Noxian spy all along, but she's also a human person, right? And a fleshed out and a fleshed out human person. I don't for a second think that there aren't multiple shades of grey there. I don't think that, you know, I think it would be impossible for her to be entangled with Cait the way that she was and not have some kind of feelings. I swear to God that in especially, the last moment where she pulls the trigger just before she pulls the trigger on Cait at the end there. Spoiler, sorry guys. I swear that I saw a glimpse of remorse. Um, and I think there was moments throughout. For me, there was moments throughout the season where I saw just a whole, multi-layered portrait of emotions in Maddie, and I can't help but feel like there was a lot of other things going on there. But ultimately, she was loyal to Mbessa, and that's where her sense of duty lied. And she was a spy, and but I think that we can't rule out the fact that there was, she's a human being who is empathetic and had this connection with Cait. And who wouldn't fall in love with Cait? She's very difficult not to fall in love with. So I just refuse to believe that there wasn't more going on there. But that's my opinion. Um, Amanda Overton and the creators might have different ideas, but yeah, I think there was more. I think there's just so much more to Maddie that we didn't get to see, and so that I would have loved had been explored in the show. But yeah, a lot of that stuff's open for interpretation. What do you think?
I mean, it's difficult because I've seen people do comparisons of scenes with like like someone pointed out a really great theory in that if you look at the scene with Maddie and Caitlin in bed, it's lit in like a dark, cold setting,
Hmm,
versus like the
hmm.
sex scene with Vi and Caitlin.
Of course, of
It's
course.
it's more bright and colorful. So
Yeah.
so someone pointed out like it is really funny that Maddie's last line is like, "I really appreciated your warmth," when she obviously their relationship was obviously cold and
Oh,
uncaring.
interesting. And that was to be fair, that was such a psychotic line that I really enjoyed delivering. That line is ice cold. You're right, and of course that's how the that scene between Vi and Cait was that scene that we'd all been waiting for 2 seasons. Of course it was painted in the way that it was because they are the ultimate. That's what, that's the outcome that we all wanted. They are the um that's why we were all so attached to the show, right? That's that they were the great love story of Arcane. So yeah, it makes sense, but I've really been enjoying. I've been sort of like lurking in the shadows on Reddit, having a little nosy at all of the different theories on there. And so one of the most fun parts of the show coming out has been to sort of um just see how it was interpreted by different people and sort of like read into all the different um fantastical and bizarre theories of the show. So I've been enjoying all that. Have you? Is that what you do? Are you a sort of are you a lurker?
I've seen. I mean, I love reading fan theories, and I've been obsessed with
Me
this
too.
show. God, I can sit here and talk for can have like a 6 hour podcast just talking about Arcane, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's just because I really think it is one of those shows that I did not expect to like it as much as I did, because I remember way back in 2021, I'm like, huh, this looks interesting. League of Legends. I don't really care much for League of Legends. And then I watched like the first 3 episodes of season one, and I'm like, I'm hooked. I'm like, I want more
Yeah.
of this. It's like, why is this so good?
Yeah, and I think there's definitely, I mean, I was completely unfamiliar with League of Legends. Like I hadn't played any of that stuff when I signed on to do Arcane. I still haven't. I really should. Um, but yeah, I think Arcane won the hearts of millions of people, and invited all kinds of new fans into the into this universe. It was just, I mean, I remember, so the first time I saw any Arcane was I went down to when I was in the running, so I hadn't yet got the role, but I was in the running for the role of Maddie. I went to the Riot Games studio, which is absolutely amazing, by the way. It is like Disneyland. It's like League of Legends Disneyland. It's one of the coolest places on earth. I went to like a little mini screening just to kind of so I could familiarize myself with the show. This is before the show had been released, and I remember sitting in a wee room to watch the pilot episode of season one, and my jaw hit the floor. It was just the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. I was just, I don't, it was just astonishing. And like you, when it finished, I was left with this feeling, this clawing feeling inside of, I want more of this. I need more of this, you know? It was just, yeah, it was the music, it was the animation, it was the depth of and nuance of the characters, it was the entire universe. It was a universe I just wanted to get lost in. And yeah, that was the start of my journey. And then when I saw it, I was like, now I really want to I already wanted to get the role, but when I saw the pilot, I was like, okay, pressure's on. I really have to get this job.
Because I've talked to a lot of people who did voice work for the original League of Legends, and they were like, "Is my character gonna show up in this? Because I would really love to get that call and come reprise my role to be a part of this."
Yeah, I mean, it's well, it's funny because I've spoken to a lot of I feel very lucky. I want to just say that to be part of this show because I think it was a very, I know from speaking to fellow voice actors, many of whom are, established and have incredible bodies of work, but they could not get an audition for Arcane. It was a very, very difficult show, I think, to even get seen for. And the only reason that I'm in this show at all is because Amanda Overton, who is one of the writers and producers of the show, um, I knew her years ago. I auditioned for a short film she wrote years ago, didn't get it. And then she came back to me with a favor, months later that she'd written a screenplay and she wanted to get a group of actors together to read it for an audience just to sort of test it out. It was like an industry audience. And so I kind of did that favor years and years ago. The screenplay never got made. Then many years passed and she reached out to me on Facebook and basically said she'd been a gamer for years. She was familiar with my work and she'd been writing this show for Riot Games. And there was a character in particular, Maddie, that when she'd been writing this role, she'd been hearing my voice in her head for the role. And was I interested in meeting up to chat about the project? And so that's how all that kind of kicked off. And I still had to go through the audition process because I still had to meet the producers and get approval and, read for the role and workshop the character and all that stuff. But that's the only way that I got, a foot into this project. I don't think there's any way that I would have been able to read for this project if it wasn't for Amanda remembering me from before and very kindly giving me this opportunity. So, um, yeah, it doesn't escape my attention for a second how lucky I am to be part of this universe. I'm so, so grateful.
Yeah, because it's a show that uses celebrity voice actors, but like no one I think is miscast. It's not. It doesn't feel like they cast them for name recognition because I feel like everyone
Yeah.
who is cast in the show is so perfectly cast because they are the characters. It's about the performance, not brand recognition. It's not like, hey, we got this big celebrity to be a part of this show, come watch it. It's like, no, we cast the right people for the right roles because they are these characters, and people get I remember when season two came out, everyone was kind of obsessed, being like, okay, who's going to be voicing who, because everyone wants to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think the casting was spot on. Some of the greatest performances I've ever heard. Um, our president in the show. I mean, just for example, Ella's work as Jinx is just absolutely out of this world. I mean, I don't think they could have gotten a better actress for that role. It's all been cast so well, and because of that, I feel, I'm able to look past my usual self-doubt and I don't belong here and I don't deserve this. And um, for once say to myself, you know what? You wouldn't be in this project if you weren't right for the role because everyone else is right in their respective roles. And so you deserve to be here. And I do, it's taken a long time in my career to not have imposter syndrome. Been plagued with this sense of imposter syndrome for as long as I can remember. And again, this is the first time where I felt been able to allow myself to feel like I deserve to be there and just relish in the pride of being part of such an incredible project.
Yeah, it's an amazing cast, and also I just want to say like I'm so glad that they also cast like really great voice actors in these roles, like JB Blanc, Jason Spizak, my God, Mick Wingert. Oh my God, he was amazing as Heimerdinger, like
Oh my
just
God, that's my favorite. He's my favorite character. Heimer is my favorite character in the show. I love Mick. He's an incredible, incredible talent and a wonderful person. But you're right, and I think I'd heard from multiple writers and producers and stuff that they wanted to get that balance right with having sort of celebrity cast and also great voice actors. They wanted to kind of bring everyone together in one big family. And JB is another just incredible, incredible talent. And so, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, Arcane is a sort of gold, it presents a gold standard for voice acting. And so to be a small part in that is wild to me. I mean, I just it, being part of this project has exceeded my wildest dreams, to be honest with you. It's just been incredible. What an incredible journey to be part of.
were you kind of disappointed that Maddie didn't get a lot of outfit changes throughout the season? Because I was kind of disappointed in that.
Well, I mean, it's difficult with her, I feel like, when she's on duty as an enforcer, it's, that's that, I mean, it's that her in her iconic enforcer's outfit. But we saw her sort of off duty in that scene with Cait. What that shirt she was wearing, that was a bit of an outfit change, right? Um, I think yes, the answer is yes, because in my mind, I think Maddie had the potential to be like a fashionista. And so that's one thing I've really enjoyed. There has been a massive amount of fan art as I'm sure has been born from Arcane and these characters. There's been a ton of Maddie fan art, and it's been really fun to see Maddie interpreted in all kinds of different ways. And like there was one I posted on my Instagram stories like last night, and it was like someone had kind of drawn her like a punk rocker. I've seen her drawn as like a sort of old like 50s pinup, all kinds of things, right? So it's fun. That's where I think fandom kind of takes hold, and the imagination of the fans can kind of um expand these characters into all kinds of things. And so yeah, even though it wasn't in the show, people have taken the idea of Maddie and ran with it and created a lot of really cool art. So I've really enjoyed that.
I mean, she has a really cute design, so I don't, not
She's so
surprised.
she's so cute, and so yeah, she is cute. Thanks for saying so. Yeah, she's so cute, and I've just loved seeing how she's um been interpreted. Although there's kind of some one of the weirder interpretations has been like it's like I'll send you after our interview. It's some of the groups are calling it's like a Maddie, it's like an alternate version of Maddie called Shaddy. And it's like this very sinister look. It's like Maddie with like a filter on. It's a very sinister version of Maddie with like a weird square jaw that's been floating about online, which is basically nightmare fuel. And so even that's been funny though, I've been enjoying all the memes, I've been enjoying all the art, um, whether it's from fans of Maddie defenders as they call themselves, or whether it's people that just don't like the character and they paint her in a weird or negative light. For me, it's like I'm just pleased that people are that have gravitated towards the character in some way and are wanting to expand on content. There's been amazing fanfics about Maddie. Um, sort of pulling her into all kinds of interesting universes. So I'm excited, you know. I mean, I'm excited that the character has resonated with so many people, for better or worse. It's been a real honor.
Plus, like you're one of those rare people who will talk to anybody, so trust me, trust me, people. Like I'm pretty sure Katie has heard every opinion you ever had on Maddie because she's not one of those she's not one of those voice actors who's like I try to stay away from the comments or anything like that. She's like, no, I want to read everything.
I want to read everything and I want to talk to everyone, even people that don't like the character, you know, which is a lot of people, as you know, because it's a controversial character. For me, it's just fun, right? Like, I don't take any of it personally. I've been reposting a lot of the memes, you know, ridiculing the character, criticize. All that stuff's funny to me, right? Because it's all part and parcel of being an actor. And, you know, you can't be too precious over the work that you do. I used to feel very precious, like early in my career. If something came out and it wasn't received well or people were criticizing my performance, I'd feel very sensitive about it. But somewhere along the road, I just let all of that go. And yeah, I've been really enjoying connecting with as many people as possible, as you know, as many fans as possible, really. I mean, I respond to as many messages as I can on my Instagram. I love hearing people's opinion. I love reading people's fanfics and seeing the art people have made. It's just for me, it's connecting with the fans is just as joyful as doing you know, as recording the lines for the character it's themselves, right? Like it's all part of what makes the job so interesting.
Okay, have you ever thought about cosplaying as Maddie?
Okay, so I've been asked this a lot. I honestly think of all the characters I've voiced, Maddie is probably the character I'm most likely to cosplay. And I think maybe that's because I know that you know, they used my images and things to build the character. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is a character that I could almost pull off. Um, I've thought about it. I I also wanted to cosplay Cait at some point. The thing is, I don't even know where to start with putting a costume together. If I thought there was someone out there who wanted to collaborate and make me a costume, I'd be 100% on board. But I can't sew, I can't put materials together. I don't know how to, you know, create a costume. That's probably the only thing standing in the way, stopping me from doing that. But yeah, if anyone's listening and they want to collab on a cheeky wee cosplay, then I'd love to. I'm down.
Yeah. And you mentioned like you've been to your first convention. What was that experience like?
My first convention since Arcane came out.
Yeah, what was that experience like?
Well, really quiet actually. I was there with Mia, who voiced Powder. She's a really talented young actress from Broadway, you know, who voiced Powder, who started voicing Powder when she was 10 and she's now 19. Which is just absolutely surreal to me. So we did this convention together downtown. So it was a new convention. It was called Megabyte Nation. It was their first year doing it. So it was a little chaotic and it was quiet because of the fires. You know, we weren't sure if they were going to continue with the con in light of the fact that so many people in the city had to evacuate and had lost everything basically. But it was quiet, but what I did notice was the people that did come, a lot of them were there for escapism, you know, just to take a moment away from everything going on in the city to just find a little bit of joy and a sense of community. And hopefully we delivered that. But um I definitely was sitting at my table, you know, where you do the autographs and someone did come up to me quite confrontational, like, why? Why did you betray Caitlin? And I was like, oh no, I better get used to this, you know. But I think my feeling is I won him over. We had a conversation for about 15 minutes and we got to chat and he got to know me as the person, you know, beyond the character. And I think by the end of it, I had converted him. I'm not saying he was a Maddie lover, but I think he accepted her. Um, and hopefully accepted me as well. But yeah, that was kind of funny.
It's like you do realize I'm just the actor, right? I'm not the character.
Yeah, he was a very impassioned individual. And then I had another guy whose girlfriend despises Maddie come up and get a signed picture, and he had me sign it, not sorry. He said, I'm doing this to troll my girlfriend. Um, and so yeah, it was kind of mad. Another thing that was really mad at the convention was a longtime fan of mine who has followed my work since like Fallout 4 had gotten my face tattooed on her arm. Not a character's face, but my actual face tattooed on her arm. And so that was definitely a first for me. That was a wild one. Um, Never had that before. And so yeah, the con was filled with all kinds of surprises. As many cons are. It was definitely a weird and wonderful time.
City's on fire, but yeah, check out my tattoo of your
Completely.
face.
Completely. That's what I mean. It was like the tattoo of the face. There was like, the city's on fire. Like someone that came to my table fainted. There was a whole drama around, it was all kinds of chaos. Um, but ultimately it was a good laugh and a great distraction. And I was able to do a panel with Mia Powder, which was my first time doing any kind of Arcane panel. So that was really fun too, and our experiences on the show were completely different because, she was in season one and had worked on the show. She was a child actor, basically, had worked on the show since she was 10 years old. And so, yeah, it was interesting sort of merging both of our stories about how we got involved in Arcane together and connecting with an audience on the panel. So that was a first. But, I've got other conventions coming up. And so I'm looking forward to kind of touring about a little bit and connecting with fans all over the world, who love the project as much as we do.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you. I don't want to say take it for granted, but it's one of those things where it puts into perspective like how big the work you do is affecting people.
Mm.
When you see it firsthand compared to when you're alone in the booth recording it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right, because for most of the time, if not all of the time working on these projects, you are isolated, literally, right? You're in a sort of padded booth with headphones on, and um it's a very solitary experience, even from the rest of the cast, right? Like I didn't start to meet the other cast members of Arcane until the premiere, and then a couple of the events and like the wrap party of the show. That's when we all bonded and got to know each other. And so it's a very surreal way to work. But so then when these projects are finally released out into the wild and you get to meet the fans of the show, it is such a joy um, to look someone in the eye and for them to share with you the impact that this show's had on them. It's very humbling and just a beautiful way to connect with others. And so I don't take it, I've never taken it for granted, and I never will, and I certainly haven't with Arcane. I'm incredibly grateful, pinching myself all the time. Just can't believe that I'm able to be part of such an incredible project.
Yeah, and it's not only an incredible project, but it's a character that people know, and it gets you invited to conventions. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, it's just amazing, I mean, what an honor to be able to for your work to have resonated with people to the extent where you're invited to come and sign autographs and meet with fans and do panels and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just such an honor. It's something I'll never take for granted, and it's something I love doing. And something I've always loved doing, for me, the greatest joy in this entire in my entire career has been connecting with fans. I love it. I love it so much. Um, and so yeah, I've always been, as you know, I've always been someone that will talk to anyone. I love getting messages from supporters and fans of the work that I've done, and I love responding, and I love a bit of banter, and I love sharing memes with these people, and I love seeing their fan art and hearing their stories, all kinds of stuff. It's like for me, it's like the purest form of human connection. And I never want to stop. Never wanted to stop. I just love it.
I think one of my favorite things that you ever did was the what do you call it, the Instagram live with people after
Oh
the
yeah.
show. It's just
Oh, with after Arcane.
yeah, after Arcane, it's just so insane.
Oh my God, no, it was so insane because I mean it speaks to my own timekeeping and my wild ADHD brain, but it was meant to be like my intention was to do a little live stream for like an hour to, connect with the fans and um do some video calls with fans and chat about them and chat about the show and all that stuff. But cut to like, as you know, it was like 6 hours later and I was like, oh my God, this is like out of control. Were you there? Were you in there for some of the chat?
No, but I heard about it because I was like, because I think I was busy at the time, but I did catch it on the replay, and it was
Oh my God, it was so insane. And what was amazing about it was like this is what I love about doing those live streams because I sort of go live and then um there's a little list of people that want to chat, right? They want to come on and video chat. And so I just pick people at random and then it calls them. So you never know who you're going to get, right? Like it's sort of like it's like a roll the dice sort of lucky dip situation. And so someone called in from like, someone called in from like it was like the Amazonian rainforest, and then there was like someone from Australia, and then there was a couple of young girls, like teenage girls from Glasgow, where I'm from, who by the time I called them back, it was like during the night. So they were fast asleep and like getting up for school, like high school in like 3 hours. It was just really, really chaotic and funny, and it went on for hours. That was Thanksgiving actually. So um yeah, it went on for like I think 6 hours total, and I was finally like, I need to pull the plug because this has just gone on for too long. But it was so much fun, and I can't wait to do it again. And people seem to enjoy it. It feels like those live streams create a real sense of community. It was a very sort of supportive environment for people, I think, to pop on and tell me a bit about themselves, and you're getting to know a bit about others. And I don't know, I love it. I can't get enough of it. So I'm hoping to do more of those soon. You should come to the next one, though. You should come and hang out. I'll interview you. The tables will turn.
God. Because that's the thing with my sleeping schedule being all over the place and time being a factor. I don't know, man.
I know it's really tricky. I mean, that's part of the thing too. You don't really know. It's hard to sort of keep up with who's where and all the different time zones. So that's what was funny, like people calling people from Scotland who were fast asleep, somebody like someone in South Africa, someone in Australia, it's wild. And so you can never please everyone and fit in with everyone's schedule, but I'm, trying to encourage people that, maybe have a few hours spare and they fancy a sense of community and having a bit of a laugh to hop on. And I'm definitely hoping to do more of those because I get a real kick out of them. It's fun. It's fun for me.
No, it's great because I don't see any other voice actor doing it, doing something like this because I think and obviously because I'm not saying like you should value your privacy obviously, but it is nice to see someone who's like I mean yeah I did this thing and I mean just because I'm on a popular show that's loved by millions doesn't mean I'm not I'm above talking to people.
Yeah, no, of course. And also, like, I was about to joke that a lot of these actors that don't do it probably have lives. But I do have a life, but it's just, connecting with fans of these projects is a priority for me. It's important to me. You probably know this from speaking to me last time. Um I don't like there to feel like there's any kind of wall or divide between myself and others. For me, that doesn't feel like an authentic connection. When someone's sort of on a pedestal and others kind of follow. Something about it just doesn't, it's just not me. It doesn't feel right. And so for me, I like to just kick down those walls, right? And bring the most human version of myself to the table. And it's, when others can do the same, it's just that sort of raw, pure human connection. And so that's what I'm all about. And I don't think I'll ever stop doing that and being like that because I feel like I get the most out of um, the work that I do and the most out of my connection with fans by just being true to myself. And I find that when you do that, they're then true to themselves, and then you're also getting the most authentic version of them. And so I think it just serves everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, I mean, you couldn't have put it better myself, you know. Yeah. I mean, it's important to have that sense of community because we just don't
Yeah.
have that nowadays because everyone's just busy screaming at each other about whatever that, no one just wants to have a sense of community. No one just wants to hang out and talk about whatever, you know?
Well, that's so true, and I think it's that sense of community that's kept me enjoying um, this industry so much. One of my first, well, the first thing I ever worked on in video games. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but Ingress. Have you heard of that? Can't remember if we spoke about it last time. It's a project I worked on before Fallout 4, and it was created by John Haneke, who created Google Earth and then eventually created Pokemon Go. So it was a game that predated Pokemon Go. Um, Gigantic augmented reality game spanning, a global augmented reality game where we were playing characters in the flesh. So it wasn't just voiceover, traveling from city to city. It's basically like a giant game of Risk where people battle to capture territory. They interact with real life monuments and real life actors and all that stuff. It was really amazing. But the most amazing thing about that, about being part of that game, was that it was a community-based game. And so you travel to cities all over the world, and then and they would be meetups, right? So you would gather in groups of, sometimes it was groups of tens of people, sometimes it was hundreds of people, sometimes it was thousands of people coming together to play this game. And so as an actor, you were just very much just wandering with these people through cities, interacting in the flesh, right? There was no sort of sense of a hierarchy or a sense of that you were separate to that community. And so you were just, you had your hiking boots on and you were just wandering the city with them, interacting as the character, helping out with the game. And so that was an incredible experience for me. And it was something that, um, well, for me, who's always felt like an outsider myself, it was one of the first times that I'd really, really felt like I belonged in a sense of community. And I still talk to people, fans and players of that game that I knew back then. Like we still know each other and we still interact, online and stuff. Like it's just, and what was really cool about that was, you'd be all gathered in a park somewhere to play this game, and you would get like a huddle of people together, and it would be like some right-wing military person standing next to a Hispanic family, standing next to like a trans person. It was just, you know, a humongous spectrum of people coming together and connecting over their commonalities. And that to me is what the beauty of community is all about. And so I think that really is the first thing that sparked my love of community and gaming. And I sort of never let go of that. My desire to be part of those communities kind of has followed me through all the work that I've done. And so that's definitely a priority of mine and something I'm really interested in pursuing moving forward. I'd love to be able to branch out in my own career into things that nurture that sense of community. Because, like you said, we need it. We need it now more than ever. The world's not getting any less crazy.
Tell me about it.
Um, And at the end of the day, all we have is that human connection. All we have is a sense of community. It's very, very important to nurture that.
Yeah, I mean it's important to not only like nurture that sense of community, but also like, just just enjoy other people's company because life is short, and you never know how long we have on how long people are going to be on here, for, you know.
Exactly. And I think, what we were talking about earlier about that sort of idea of celebrity and hierarchy, all that does is for me that's the antithesis of community. It's destructive to the sense of community. I don't think it's helping. Do you know what I mean? Because it creates a wall between people. And I'm trying to do the opposite, and hopefully that comes across and people appreciate that.
So, while we're talking about your plans for the future, what's next for you?
Next. I mean, So I'm in another project. This I can't say what it is. I'm in another game that's coming out early this year, and then I have no idea, Abdullah. I mean, I'm literally like many other creatives. I'm sort of free falling here. I've got no idea what's next. I mean, I'm definitely going to be doing some conventions this year. I'm going to be doing Fantasy Basel in Switzerland at the end of May, and a few other conventions around the UK and hopefully some in the States and stuff, which will give me the opportunity, to connect with more of the Arcane family. But yeah, I mean, we're in the middle of. It's funny because I actually think maybe I can't quite remember when you and I last spoke. There might have been a strike going on. Um, Maybe not. Maybe it was before a video game strike in LA. But there's another. I don't know if you are aware, but there's still a strike going on.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm aware.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I figured you'd be clued up. So yeah,
So
we're
I just I
right?
also on that note, this is not promoting League of Legends. This is just talking about Arcane. So it's not has nothing to do with League of Legends. This is
Oh.
not promoting Arcane. Thank you.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, of course. And listen, the strike has been going on since last year. This time AI, whereas last time wages and residuals were the focus, this time AI is at the forefront. And I don't know when the strike's going to be resolved. I suspect that it's going to have to be some kind of legislative change that really settles everything back down again. Because right now, there are a bunch of companies who've signed on to this new contract to protect actors from having their voice and identity stolen um, through AI. But a lot of companies have not signed on. And so it kind of has thrust all of us into a limbo where there's some work, but there's not um, that much work. And so, again, uncertain times, frustrating times. I do have a game coming out, and then I'm just hoping that other stuff sticks. Like many other creatives, it's like I'm hoping, my work on Arcane will lead to all kinds of other stuff. All I know is I want to keep focusing on working and exploring, and trying to be as part of as many incredible universes as possible. I feel like I've already been spoiled. But I just I'm still dreaming and hoping that I'll get to keep being part of this amazing industry in this space. So don't take anything for granted. I'm just hoping that there's something, that there's other amazing things around the corner. Um, Arcane certainly set the bar very high. I'm not gonna lie. But you know what? If I get to work on more projects that are half as good as Arcane, I'll be absolutely thrilled.
I
That's the truth.
mean, I hope so, but
Yeah, I hope so too, There's definitely a couple of things in the pipeline, nothing I can talk about yet. But yeah, I just hope that, you and I will have another conversation this time next year and there'll be more amazing things happening. But yeah, not taking it for granted.
I
Fingers
mean,
crossed.
maybe next year, maybe later this year. You never know.
Exactly, exactly. Totally, yeah. So I'm just sort of trying to stay in the moment and enjoying, the release of Arcane still feels fresh. So I'm just enjoying all of that and looking forward to getting out to some conventions and this next project coming out and stuff like that. So that's all you can hope for.
So, before I wrap this up, where can people find you online?
They can find me in the bowels of Reddit, Abdullah, lurking. No, you can find me at the Cheeky Scot with one T on Instagram and Twitter. I'm not very good at Twitter, to be honest with you, but I am on Instagram a lot and potentially on Facebook as well, or katytownsend.net.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time off to come back and talk Arcane. And, hopefully we can get you back when more of that stuff clears out and we can, talk again about life and stuff.
Yeah, I love chatting to you. I love the conversations we have, and I'm so grateful. Thanks for your patience and thanks for being available to talk to me, and shout out to all your followers and subscribers. Big hugs for everyone.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okie dokie. I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye. Bye.